Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the steps of how to quickly deploy your own website on GitHub for free. Alright, so I'm going to be walking through the steps on this website. So if you go to pages.github.io, that is where I'm going to be walking you through the actual instructions to use GitHub Pages to launch a website of a repository that is already on your GitHub. All right. And the link to this is going to be in the description as well. So make sure that you check that if you don't have this site already. All right. So basically, when you go to pages.github, you are going to see two options here, user site or project site. You want to click on user site. You should already have your website code in GitHub already. And if you do, all you just have to really do is follow step one. And step one is basically where you change the name of the repository to this format. You see here, it says that, basically name your public repository. This repository in GitHub has to be public. Give it this name that follows this syntax where it's username.github.io. So, and this is an example here. You see this? Let me zoom into this a bit more, right? So in this example, you can see that this user's GitHub username is Sofchef, and she is naming this repository sofchef.github.io. So once you now have that done, you can kind of skip all the way down to the last step and just go to the browser and go to this website, right? So once your GitHub repository is renamed to this format of username.github.io, and by username, you have to put your username, the username of your GitHub page. So let me just show you how this works on mine. So this is my GitHub, and my username is TJOYE20. So I should have one of these repositories already, github.io. Yeah. So you see here, I have a repo called tjoye20.github.io, right? And my website code is here. So the key thing is that your index.html has to be in the actual home page or the root of this GitHub repo. So let's say that you have a project called, project one or something. Your index.html file has to be inside of that main folder. It can't be inside of another folder, like assets or something, right? Like your index.html cannot be inside of another folder that's inside of your repository folder, okay? Your index.html should be exposed just like this because GitHub is looking for this index.html and it's going to use that to launch your website. So if I now go to tjoye20.github.io, if I open up a new tab and I go here, I press enter, this is now going to have the actual website code up there. So this is like an old website that I used when I was first launching my bootcamp. So, because if you now click on here, if you click on this index.html, you see that this has all that information here. So this was a template, free coding, curriculum, FAQ. This is my nav bar up here. This is my hero section. You see that? Roots Technology, learn to code and start building web applications. And it's that here. All right. So that's how you would do it if you already have a GitHub repository in GitHub. Hey, good news. I finally opened up my mentorship program to people outside of my coding bootcamp. So if you've ever wanted to work with me as your mentor, now's a good time to start. Comment below mentor and I'll send you the link to learn more. Right. So let's say that I go back to my homepage. Yeah, let me go back to my homepage and let me just go to my repos. So these are all the different repos that I have, right? So let's see if I can find another random project. So basically, if you already have some kind of project here, some kind of folder or repository in GitHub, all you have to do is just rename it. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is just rename that folder. You get what I'm saying? And you can
easily do that by just clicking on the name and then you see up there settings and just change the actual name and change the name to username.github.io. And as soon as you do that,
it'll just automatically like launch your website using the index.html file that is in the root of that folder. All right. And that is all you have to do to basically launch your own website for free. So now if you want a different website name, that means that you have to go to some kind of place to like buy a different domain name like GoDaddy.com or something. And you would buy your own domain name and then connect it to this repository. And GoDaddy and all those like platforms, they have steps and like instructions that you can follow that walks you through how to now have your own custom domain be connected to your GitHub repository. Okay. So the steps on here basically walk you through how to kind of start from scratch if you don't already have a folder that exists with your website code on it, right? So you would basically create a repository in GitHub named following this format, and then you would git clone that repo down to your local computer, and then you would write all the code. You get what I'm saying? You would actually write the code for your website, and you would create your index.html file, and then you would write your git commit, and you will push those changes up to GitHub. So once GitHub now sees that you have an index.html file, your website is now going to be launched on that username.github.io. All right. So these are the steps that you would follow if you were starting from scratch. Remember, the user site. But if you already have a GitHub repository in GitHub, all you have to do is just rename that folder to match this format of username.github.io. All right. And that's it. Like, that's how you can actually launch your own website, host it on GitHub for free without you having to pay for anything else except for your own custom domain name. All right.